And I knew coming into this season, once people started talking, once I was here and experiencing it, like, people had a lot to say. There was a lot of negativity coming my way. And I just looked at it like, you know, I'm not used to this. Once I got here and was experiencing people's disapproval, it didn't really faze me because I still understood. I think I understood even more so that this is definitely a part of my plan. When people get to not liking you for no reason, I'm probably exactly where I need to be.
In the Indiana Fever locker room, what did Sydney Colson say about Caitlin Clark that made WNBA bullies run for cover? For months, Sheryl Swoopes, Angel Reese, and others spread fake rumors about problems on the team. Finally, Colson spoke out on the Post-Move show. Her honest statement busts the myth about the fever that has been spread by jealous players. The truth about what happened in that locker room goes against what the haters say, showing that their whole campaign is based on lies. This fever is just right for 2026, as you'll hear when you hear Colson's exact words. Say what you think about Sydney telling the truth in the comments before we start.
Guys, I just have to know, because I feel like everyone always thinks something about Indy. But once you say the fever, it's like thoughts, right? So what was your biggest surprise after coming to Indy and you were like, oh, you know what? These people kind of cool, right?
Here's what made everything go wrong. An attack on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever was planned by several WNBA veterans before the 2024 draft even finished. You need to pay attention to this timeline because it shows how carefully this operation was planned. In April, Clark is picked first overall. And even before she steps foot in the Fever practice building, veterans are already questioning her and what she will bring to the team.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
Sheryl Swoopes led the attack and said hurtful things about the chaos in the locker room before anyone could see how well the team worked together. For a long time, she spoke out against Clark's professionalism and asked if the Fever's culture would back her. These weren't just random thoughts from a well-known warrior. It was on plan that Swoopes made the team feel uncertain, even though they hadn't even started practicing together yet.
People in the Fever were like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit going on around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Angel Reese and AJ Wilson also did their own kind of character killing. During interviews, Reese said mean things about team chemistry, which seemed to suggest that doing well on your own doesn't translate into working well with others. Wilson replied with harsh words about how Clark was getting too much attention and making the successes of WNBA veterans look less important. It might even have racist elements. Their time was very precise. It seemed like every conversation confirmed the same thing. Clark and the Fever are not ready for professional basketball. The news picked up on these rumors and made them into full-on stories about a dangerous Fever atmosphere. Sports news sites started writing about tensions in the locker room that didn't exist. Reporters started to ask leading questions about how the team worked together at news conferences. The story went from being based on guesses from basketball veterans to being seen as true by the basketball media.
Wilson is her name. Quote, "It doesn't matter what we all do as black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because..."
What was so bad about this strategy was that it made people expect to fail before anyone could look at how the team actually worked. Fans started to expect trouble. It became clear to other players that Indiana might not be a fully functional company. The pros had done a great job of creating doubt where there shouldn't have been any. The time tells you everything you need to know about why they did what they did. Clark's appearance made people more interested in women's basketball than ever before. During her college years, TV numbers broke all kinds of records. Sales of goods went through the roof. There were so many corporate backers that the WNBA had never seen anything like it. These veterans saw her command attention, which was something they had never seen before in their whole lives.
What kind of things do you feel?
I'm not in the locker room.
Okay. But
I'm talking about more social media.
Okay.
It's a
turn. Right? It's a turn, right? It's really a turn of the tides.
Well, right? Gil, here's my point. The beginning of the year, right? Everybody saw.
Swoops should have been happy that women's basketball was growing. But instead, she chose to criticize the player, which brought more people to the game. Because Clark was so popular, Rhea and Wilson got more attention from the league. But they chose to cut off the hand that fed their sports growth. Many basketball fans turned against them because their jealousy was so clear. This planned attempt to show that the Fever wasn't working right was only motivated by fear and envy. These veterans thought Clark's popularity put their place in the league's hierarchy at risk. They saw a rookie get more sponsorship deals and public attention than they had ever gotten before. They didn't want to get better at their games or be happy about the rising tide that lifts all boats. Instead, they decided to cause trouble. Then there was the moment that proved every lie the WNBA bullies had told about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever to be false. Sydney Colson went on the post-move show and told the truth about what happened in the locker room. It was perfect time for her because false stories were at their worst on social media and sports. Talk shows.
I think the environment in the locker room was much better than what you would have anticipated as like somebody from the outside looking in. And I think that we were like intentional about doing stuff. Like when we got to the point where we started to hang out more and everybody was like, oh, like, yeah, like I'm enjoying people off the court. And at that point, we were already like on a stretch of like winning some games. We're like, oh, well, if hanging out off the court helps, we should just keep doing that. Maybe it'll help on court. You know what I'm saying? So
Colson's exact words hit the fake drama that Cheryl Swoops and others had been spreading for months like a nuclear bomb. She talked like she knew what she was talking about because she had been to every practice, team meeting, and secret event that no one else knew about. Because she was a seasoned player, her proof was hard to ignore or downplay. Colson said that the dressing room was a lot better than what someone would expect from the outside. She said that the work setting on the team went above and beyond what was expected, not falling short of professional standards. This directly refuted all the bad news stories about problems with team harmony and player unrest.
Seeing that we got to the point that we got to without really developing an off-court relationship was like interesting, and it only got better, I think, as we started to do it more. But yeah, I think that was the most surprising thing for me, like the in-locker room chemistry.
She showed that ties made off the court made the chemistry on the court stronger instead of worse, as some critics had thought would happen. Spending time together outside of basketball helped players trust each other, which led to better communication during games. They knew a lot about each other's attitudes and how they played. Because they were connected, they could guess what the other would do and help each other more when things got tough. The senior guard talked about how players would hang out with each other, without the coaches making them do team-building activities. The players liked being with each other so much that they chose to spend their free time together. After practicing, they would eat together. They would check in on each other on their days off. These natural connections set the stage for success in a way that professional team-building activities could not.
My story sometimes, and I'm like, damn, like, why did it have to go down like this? But then I look at it like at my age now, and I'm like, I'm really glad that it did, because it made me tougher. It made me, I think, a more even like compassionate teammate. I think I already was one, but now I look at like everybody's value as important.
This wasn't some kind of publicity stunt meant to protect the team's image or make it easier to sign free agents in the future. Colson was a seasoned player who had nothing to gain by lying about how the team worked together to make the company look better. In the league, she had already made a name for herself and her career. Her honest opinion was reliable because she didn't have any other reasons to paint a better picture than truth. Colson talked about how the team did well at the beginning of the season without having to form forced relationships. As the season went on, those partnerships got stronger and the team got even better. They were able to fight well right away because they were quickly friends. But the players' basketball bond got even stronger as they got to know each other better. It was time for them to finish each other's plays. On defense, they talked to each other well. They showed real excitement for each other's achievements.
How was that ability to kind of switch your mindset from, okay, I'm this leader, I'm going to play on the court, I'm going to lead by example, I'm going to do all these things, to now I have a different role? Because that was the hardest for me, where I knew it was the end. I did. And I knew that was kind of going to be the last time. And to be able to kind of go away for a little bit and then come back and switch into that leadership where it's good, back to what the team needs and things like that, because that had to be hard, because you are funny and you do make light of a lot of situations, but that was heavy to have to go through an injury like that.
For younger players, her guidance during a CL recovery showed them what real leadership in professional basketball looks like. Colson continued to take part in team events even though he wasn't able to play. She gave advice to teammates who were taking on more responsibility. She helped keep team spirit high when things got tough. People outside the squad hadn't thought this fake drama would tear them apart. Interview 11. The veteran's presence during recovery showed how experienced athletes should handle tough situations in a way that brings people together instead of dividing them. She used her injuries to teach her younger teammates how to keep going even when things get tough and keep a positive mood. Her method taught newbies how to help each other when things got tough. Any story about older players making things hard for younger teammates was quickly shot down by this kind of leadership. Colson's honest opinion successfully disproved all the false claims about fever dysfunction made by competitors who were jealous and the media that helped them. Her first-hand account told the truth about a group of people who worked together to make something amazing. The sparks were real. There were real connections between them. The culture was just what winning teams need to get to the top. The veteran's words showed that jealous critics were making up lies about a team they didn't have any personal experience with.
It was just another one of those things. Like, I look at it as, like, I'm telling you about me getting cut, what my journey has been, all of that, like little injuries along the way. I just look at it as another thing where I had to trust that what I'm going through is still part of God's plan for me.
While the critics were spreading false information, something very different was going on in Indianapolis. People who believed the stories about dysfunction and conflict on the Fever team were making friends that would surprise them. From the first team talks, the newcomers and veterans started to connect in ways that weren't just about basketball strategy. From the start, Aaliyah Boston talked about how easy it was for players to talk to each other when they weren't on the court. She saw how players naturally hung out with each other at meals, on team trips, and when they had some free time in between workouts. Boston saw friends talk about their families, pasts, and plans for the coming season. The teaching staff did not make these team-building activities happen. The players decided to hang out together because they enjoyed being with each other.
I'm the kind of person that I experience people for myself. I don't just listen to things that other people say. I'll have stuff in mind, of course. I think it would be silly to not, keep in mind what you've heard, but I have to experience what I have to experience, and being on this team, it was definitely a good.
Everyone on the team worked hard to build confidence by having casual conversations and talking about things they had done outside of basketball. After practice, the teams would eat dinner together. They would text each other to check in on the days off. Veterans would give advice on how to make the jump to professional hoops. Rookies would talk about how happy they were to have made it to the WNBA level. These talks helped them become real friends and improved their relationship on the court. Boston dealt with internet rumors when she had enough of the false stories going around. She talked about how teammates would check in on each other like family, making sure that everyone felt supported in their personal and work lives. Boston pointed out that the players' desire to make the dressing room friendly was on purpose, as they wanted to disprove any negative stories about their locker room culture.
What's your favorite memory from this season that fans aren't already privy to?
Probably we had a gathering at, what city were we in, AB, where we were all sitting at that long table.
We were on the West Coast, no?
Yeah, it was our West
Maybe
Coast
LA.
trip. But was it?
I think so.
Okay, but there was it was that time, and there was one more when I think we were in Mini. Maybe we were there.
Yeah, we had that dinner, Commissioner's Cup. Yeah.
When we had a dinner. Matter of fact, that might have been the one, because it was like basically the whole team there. It was the coaches, some, like their kids, support staff. And it was just like a very fun.
When the team started getting hurt during the season, it put their friendship to the real test. The team didn't fall apart under the stress. Instead, they got stronger and closer together. Players took on new responsibilities without complaining that they had more to do. Other players on the team helped hurt people get better. The problems showed how real their relationships really were. If the envious veterans were right about the fights in the locker room, Sydney Colson's ACL injury could have undone everything. A serious injury to a key veteran player would normally show if there are problems with how the team works together. The team did get closer though when Colson got hurt, as her teammates gathered around her while she recovered. Players made sure she kept participating in team events. During the long process of healing, they kept her faith high.
Once the injury happened, I'm like, once again, this is something that I don't fully get, but this must be where I need to be, sidelined. And it made me an even more vocal leader. It made me pay attention to things maybe that I wasn't paying attention to that other people had going on, so I could be more tapped into if they're having a hard time and I need to come over here and help them out, whether it's mental, physical, whatever. I had to get outside of me. And that was the lesson that I learned in this. I hope it's the one that God wanted me to learn.
Veterans like Kelsey Mitchell and the rest of the leadership team stepped up to fill in when there were gaps in the rotation. They did this without making a fuss or asking to be treated differently. Mitchell took on more leadership roles while still playing at a good level. Other veterans loved helping younger players get used to playing more minutes and dealing with tough conditions. When injuries opened up spots for depth players, they showed how valuable they are at the top level. The team's attitude of next woman up became very important to their ability to compete, even though they had a lot of injuries during the season. This method made it clear that every player needed to be ready to help when asked to. The Fever were able to stay focused and competitive even when key players were hurt. Each person knew what they were supposed to do and got ready for it.
We didn't love
karaoke.
Food wasn't the best, but we were doing karaoke.
People food.
My bad. We were like doing karaoke, dancing, people drinking, but it was just a fun vibe. And honestly, I think that set the table because that was right before Commissioner's Cup, and it was like
that money.
Everybody was just like loose and having a good time, enjoying one another. And I think we went into that game and we played like very free, very like together and confidence. Winning the Commissioner's Cup championship, I think, was a turning point in our season where we believed like, okay, well, like we can beat anybody. Yeah. And I think a healthy us would have given anybody like a run for their money. But
oh shit! Yeah, an unhealthy
got to the semis.
Went to semis, game 5 overtime.
Yeah, for sure. But that was probably one of my favorite moments because it was just like the camaraderie was there. It was what you were talking about. When you got that chemistry with a team, it just helps you on court. And so yeah, that was probably.
They showed a lot of variety and persistence by being able to play in different ways, especially with and without certain players on the court. The team learned how to do well in different ways depending on who could play. Depending on which players were healthy, they might change how they attack. No matter who was in the lineup, they kept up the defense effort. This skill to adapt was very helpful during a season with many problems. The Fever were building the kind of culture that championship teams need to do well at the top levels. Everyone on the team trusts each other completely. Veterans were able to teach their younger teammates well. Everyone did what they were supposed to do for the good of the team. The bond they built helped them do better on the basketball court. This wasn't the broken down locker room that envious veterans said would ruin Caitlin Clark and stop the team from reaching its goals in the future. It's clear why Indiana is going to rule the league in the future now that the truth is out. The group of experienced leaders that Colson helped build is not going anywhere. With each new season, it gets stronger. These players know how to work together to get through tough times. It will be possible for Caitlin Clark to grow up in a place that has already shown it can handle stress and noise from outside. She doesn't have to worry about fights in the locker room or experienced players hurting her chances. There's already a base there. This team culture can handle getting hurt, being attacked by the media, and rivals who are jealous and want to bring it down. They've been through a lot and have passed every test. Say what you think about Sydney telling the truth in the comments before we start. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on all alerts so you never miss anything.